That video is truly awesome, and this one, the first half of this one, and the first one. I didn't really watch the other one because I hadn't seen that other video. Maybe later. But anyway, I think, Gary, you made one of the. This is. I hesitate to say, but it seems to me that this may be the best statement you've ever made of this part of your philosophy. Really, really strong. And, what it brings to mind for me is that I realize, when we get down to it, I don't really care about whether life turns out ultimately to be a positive or a negative. I see lots of negatives in the world that can be solved. I know it can be improved. Okay, so I'm interested. Hey, I wonder what happens if you improve it for a really long time. Does it ever get good? What about after infinite time? How, can it? I don't know. How many angels can you fit on the head of a pin? It could be interesting if you're in the right frame of mind, but when you have so many obvious things, okay, I mean, look, most of the terrible things in this world, the most terrible things in this world, like war, man's oppression of man, these are things that, I'm sorry, they can be solved. This isn't because nature's fucked up. I don't care how. See, I see nature as sort of fucked up, and I call it neutral because okay, it just means that's where you start from. It's kind of a low bar in a way. On the other hand, it's not a low bar. Animals have some freedoms that we seem to don't remember that humans have to have. You know, so it's a give and take sometimes. You have to look at the average, and the whole average should be going up. I mean, an animal in the state of nature might have to be predated by a tiger, but it's not enslaved and doesn't need to go get water for the fucking tiger, you know. But anyway, so I see so many things that could be better, and I don't mean if it was a world and everybody was better. No, I mean right now, the people. This world is run by a minority, and it's a minority of people with the really screwed up criminal attitude, if you ask me. Okay, most people around are screwed up, but not that screwed up. Not screwed up in that way. It could be better. People would want it to be better. How? Well, one, the number one thing is government accountability. The government accountability, all the videotape. Hell yeah, cameras on the cops' heads, cameras everywhere. You know, I was get a helicopter. There's a lot of helicopters here. It's a military helicopter. But yeah, video cameras on all the official things, and within limits, but certainly a lot more now. And forget that. I don't even want to get bogged down in that. I do believe in something like that. But how about just this? The video cameras they have now in cop cars and tanks and helicopters, they go straight to archives. There might be a 6 month period before people can see them. That officials might be able to redact names or dangerous things, but 99% of that stuff is boring. You know, half a percent of it is interesting but easily redacted. You know, and if there's evidence of crime, that should be lost. If you have a tape of a murder, you have to make it public to the well, you have to give it to the police, and it has to become again public after a certain period of time. It's not that's gruesome, but I mean, and it seems like, well, people won't do it. Well, what do you mean? These are the kinds of laws that have changed the world. Government accountability, number one thing, definitely a good thing. Two, instant runoff voting. Holy shit! The mathematics of binary voting creates patterns in your political system due to the numbers it creates an artificial. Why does stuff hover around 50%? Because if you have a 50-50 vote, that's like a genetic algorithm for breeding something that can only satisfy half. Instant runoff voting, or people really were too stupid for that for some reason. Just approval voting. If you vote, Gary, I don't know if you know this, but with approval voting, you just check off, yeah, he's okay, he's okay, he's okay, not him. So, okay. Turns out, most of the time, if you vote that way, it comes out the same as instant runoff voting. You know what I mean? People approve their top three choices, and by matching it all together, you get the same kind of result that you would from instant runoff voting. But it's a lot easier for the system to pick incorrectly, right? Not the maximal choice. But those are two amazingly powerful things. So much follows from that. If you have accountability from having transparency in the military, for one thing, people are like, oh, the people can't take that. If they see that, then, well, come on. You could take some kid, if you would have seen some video of war, would have been shocked, never saw it, went instead joined the military, went to war, sees it for a year. A year later, he's not shocked anymore. People were exposed to that stuff. They're not, at first they're shocked that, oh, we're going to stop it. And then things go on, cops still beat people up. People still get tasered. But there's also sort of a movement and of evidence, and we figure out, well, is it, at first we think, oh, it's terrible, nobody ever do that. And you realize, well, actually, they've probably been doing that for a long time. I just saw it for the first time, I guess, maybe it's part of the deal. And then as it builds up, you start to go, wait, no, it was a problem. Now that I've seen it, I'll do something about it. It's a common thing. Transparency in government. Secrecy in government is the big problem. Okay, and then instant runoff voting, because come on, it's mathematics. We claim to want to have a democracy. You have to use you know modern mathematics when you're studying how to get a person's choice. I mean, it can be studied. A group of people have a certain priority of leaders, and we don't get the one that priority should get because we're using a bad selection algorithm. And all you need to do is instant runoff voting. Those two things. I'm curious, Gary, if you're into saying, how good do you think it can get? I think we can stop war. I mean, that's my pie in the sky part, because I know that sounds impossible. But I don't think you really need war or slavery. I think both of those, as much as they look like, especially thousands of years ago, you'll never get rid of them. It might take another few thousands of years, but an animal is supposed to live millions of years, a species. And, if I think we can get rid of war. We're not going to get rid of a lot of misery. I don't think we're going to get rid of lovers killing out of jealousy and stuff like that too easily. But war, yeah, I think we can get rid of that. Also, economics. I think that we can have everybody have what you would call, a modest middle class lifestyle and more. And I think that also that's possible even with our current kind of technology if we organize it right. But also I think we're going to get robotic technology that'll bring that kind of thing. Anyway, how good can it get? Anyway, this was a very good video. All right, cheers.